And welcome back, everybody, to the Podcaster Nation. That's right, I said welcome back because I know you were just listening to our stuff and you came back for more. Folks, that was a very wise decision because we have more for you. This is the podcast that's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, and it's done by podcasters. My guest today, you guessed it. You cracked the code. It is a podcaster. That's right. Got a fantastic guy with us today. He's got a great podcast. I got a chance to listen to a bunch of his episodes. They're having a lot of fun over there, and looking forward to telling you the story. Folks, this is the place here at Podcaster Nation where we come together to raise each other up. This is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So let's get sailing and start the episode with our guest today. Please welcome host of the Foodcast. That's right, Foodcast, Michael Vicinelli. Michael, how you doing, brother?
Oh, Rory, I couldn't be better. It's an honor to be on
Thank
a
you.
neighbor, to be on with a neighbor. I just found that out that you're an hour and a half south of us here in lovely Grand Rapids, Michigan. So that, and I told you there before we started that there was this instant feeling of just warmth that washed over me. Just this, you don't experience that Midwestern warmth until you've, you know, met a Midwesterner and actually lived in the Midwest. So thank you for blanketing me with that warmth here to begin. So I'm comfortable. I was nervous at first, but now I'm comfortable. I'm settled in.
I appreciate
So
that, man, very much. We aim to please. It's supposed to be
yeah.
comfortable. Folks who are our listeners, they know this is just a show with a couple of folks sitting here having a cup of coffee and chatting about podcasts. So I think that they're out there having the conversation with us and they're loving it right now. Yeah, you live in Grand Rapids, man. I mean, great city, absolutely fantastic place. I've been there a lot, but you're only an hour and a half north of me here in Indiana. So what brought you to Grand Rapids?
Oh, that's a story there. So I'll back up a little bit when I talk about Grand Rapids. So I'll back up a little bit. I grew up in southwestern Pennsylvania, and 2008 came, and it was about crash, market crash, lost a job, and so everybody was like, "Oh my goodness, you got to move to the south. You got to move to the south. It's just that's where new beginnings start in the south." So we moved to Charlotte. Um, and then, it was, just got a job, everything was great. And then um we moved to Raleigh, so Charlotte, Raleigh. And then I started to realize it's hot here in the South. For a Southwestern Pennsylvania boy, I didn't like the heat, Rory. So that doesn't work in the South. So I said, well, let me do this. I'm going to move to, well, what I'll do is I don't like to go on and off. So I said, let me find a place in the middle. So we moved to Charlottesville, Virginia. It's a nice, somewhat in the mountains. Moved to Charlottesville. That was somewhat warmer, or I'm sorry, somewhat cooler climate, but still hot, Rory. Still too hot. And then, so I was there for about, I'd say, I don't know, 7, 8 years. Had two children there. My wife's originally from Kalamazoo. So shout out to Kazoo.
Oh yeah,
She's from Kalamazoo. And she said, hey, you know what? Like, I would like to be a little bit closer to family. I think it'd be good for the kids. And then for my other business that we'll touch on here very briefly, I have a marketing and design business out of Grand Rapids. We were limited in terms of outreach. Everything was virtual. So there are things in Charlottesville there are people that you can target, but it is a small college town when it breaks down. So
hmm
that's what brought me to Grand Rapids. So it was a mixture of family, it was a mixture of opportunity, and we love it. I mean, I agree with you. And the secret, um, I'm kind of going off here, but
all right.
while you got me talking about Grand Rapids, I didn't realize about the beaches of Michigan. Um, it's like this a secret. It's like a great American secret, Rory. Like when I first heard about the beaches of Michigan, I go, okay, all right, what I got. That's fun. You got somebody brought some sand in a truck, and then you guys are sitting there, and it's cute. Okay. But then they took me to the beaches of Michigan up there in Holland and Grand Haven and Saugatuck and wow, that really caught me off guard because it was just like stepping into another world. Like you just didn't expect that to be on the west side of Michigan. So
Right.
um yeah, that's probably my favorite part of Grand Rapids. Great people, great food, um, just that Midwest charm, and then the beaches are spectacular. So I don't want to say too much. Hopefully, it doesn't go out to too many people because then the secret will be out, Rory. So don't, you want to cut this. I don't want that. I don't want it. It's comfortable on the beach now. I don't want it to be packed. I don't want it to be Myrtle Beach. We don't want it to turn into Myrtle Beach.
I hear you, man. The secret
Yeah.
sauce is kind of out there.
Yeah.
Folks like Michael Jordan and Tom Cruise own, summer homes up on those lakes up there in Western Michigan.
So this is not new then.
No,
I'm
it's
not the first to
new to you, my
discover
friend.
this. So you're saying real estate's high up here, Rory. Is that what you're saying?
Right on the lakes. Oh my goodness, man. Yeah, $1 million mansions up there, multi-million. So
Okay. Well, I'll call off the real estate agent then. I thought I,
it's
I thought I found a gold mine up here, but okay. Never
yeah.
mind.
So you find a bargain piece of beachfront, man. You better market that thing.
Yeah,
You're
we
gonna
were
be in good
in
shape.
we went to a Saugatuck. Here's another thing. Here's another plug for the podcast. Saugatuck Dune rides.
Oh,
Okay. Uh there's two. There used to be, I'm gonna give you a little bit of history here. There was 100, I don't know what year, but there was about 100 um organized dune rides around the country. Now there's seven. So there's seven organized, there's seven places that you can go and get a dune ride. Two of those are in Michigan. One of them are private, one of them are public. So we went to Saugatuck Dune Ride on Father's Day. It was a lot of fun. It went a lot faster than I expected. But you say that like they went to the top of the hill, and then you see the lake. They take you a nice picture up there, and then you
oh
could
yeah.
see a mansion off in the distance, and they said that's Bobby Rahal. So, um, and
There you
then
go.
also here's another fun fact. He doesn't hold insurance on that. He can't get insurance on that home on the beach because you're Bobby Rahal. You're not worried about, State Farm's going to cover you, right? So,
Right.
so if it goes into the lake, you're Bobby Rahal. We just build another one, so
Right.
it's not a
I
big,
think you'll be all
it's
right.
not, it's not a problem. So, yeah. So that, um, yeah. I forget where we were on, but
It's
go
all
ahead,
good,
man.
man. You're extolling the virtues of Michigan, which I love. I think that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So I'm glad you like it there. The and I know that we were talking in the pre-interview a little bit. You were talking about how you had kind of an interesting trip getting up there.
Yeah. So, um, there is in when you're coming from Pennsylvania or coming from Virginia, you have a choice. And the choice is, do I go through Indiana or do I just go ahead and get in Michigan first? And I don't know the roads. I've been up here since October. I don't know all the roads yet.
Right.
So I think by 2027 I'll get all the roads down. But so I just know that it's, do you go straight to go to Indiana? And I used to take Indiana, but there is who's the governor of Indiana right now?
Mike, wow, I didn't know you were going to hit me with that. He was our
That was my
senator.
surprise question for you, Rory, was who's
Yeah,
the
and I blew it. I know who he is. He's our senator, and he just became our governor. So, I mean, it's
Okay.
pretty sad because I voted for the guy.
Governor Mike. Well,
So,
Governor Mike.
I'm trying to
We'll go with
remember his
that.
name now.
I
Yeah.
don't know what the road is, and maybe I can get you some details on this or put it in the show notes. There is a toll booth there that does not like my Easy Pass. So when I'm coming up through, it's happened twice already. I thought it was a fluke the first time, and it comes the second time, and it's not taking my Easy Pass. So then I don't know if you've ever been in this situation where you're you're at the Easy Pass booth, and then they're stacking up behind you, and everybody's mad at you because you have to call the phone, like push the button.
Right. Yeah.
So that's my big Indiana story for you. That's all I really know of Indiana was that there's an Easy Pass booth there, and I'll get you the details, but it doesn't work with Easy Pass, at least my Easy Pass.
He didn't
I
like
even had
your
a
Easy Pass.
backup Easy Pass, Roy. I had a backup Easy Pass. I open up from the magnetic bag or whatever that thing is, and then I go and I wave it, and that wasn't working. So I had two Easy Passes on. So, uh, moral of the story is if you're heading that way, just get into Michigan first.
There you go. Or bring change for the toll booth. You can
Or
just pay
bring,
the
oh yeah,
toll.
carry cash
I
is
mean,
another. Just go with old-fashioned cash, Roy. That's
yeah.
the,
I mean, you can just pay
yeah.
the toll, brother. But
That's you're right. You're right. Just if you carry a $5 bill on you, a $10 bill on you, a lot of these problems go away, and you can enjoy lovely Indiana. But
there you go.
there's one there that I think
There
that
you
we need
go.
to file a complaint on. We need to fill out a form or something to get that taken care of.
Well, I finally remembered his name. It's Mike Braun, and so
Mike Braun.
we'll go ahead and send him a little notice from the Podcaster Nation that he needs to take a look at his toll booth
I
down
think
there.
so. I think that needs to be printed out too, Rory. You
All
print it
right, man.
out and mailed. Like
I'll
snail
take care
mail
of
that to him. And
it.
I'll even sign that for you if
As
you
an
need it. If
Indiana
you need
resident, I feel it's my responsibility to do that. I'll take care of it for
Absolutely.
you. All
Yeah.
right.
And that thing will find its way into the garbage as quickly as possible.
All right. So hey, now we finally got you up here in Michigan. You're doing your podcast. You do the Bruh Foodcast with a
Hmm.
co-host.
That's great.
A dear friend of yours, Tony B, is what his moniker is on the show. So
Yeah,
tell us
we're
how
not.
you and Tony B got into doing the Bruh Foodcast, man.
That's okay. So that's we get that question is, how did you guys come up with this? And I think probably a lot of podcasters get that question. Sort of like, where'd you come up with this? Where'd you come up with this idea? So it started with we have been friends. So it started with my wife and Tony's wife were really good friends in Kalamazoo. So naturally, when we were in Virginia, we'd come up, we'd see them, and every time when we'd come up, Tony is, I would call him a chef. That's a sensitive topic. Like, are you a chef? Are you a cook? Or that's sensitive around if you're talking in the culinary world. I call him a chef because I think he's one of the most fantastic. He prepares some of the most fantastic entrees that I have ever had, better than any restaurant. Um, so this he has this kitchen. So the setup is that we go in. He doesn't let you touch anything. All right, like can I help you chop? Can I help you slice? Can I do this? Is there something I can do for you? Nope, I got it. Like he doesn't like anything. He's just he likes to control his kitchen, which that's fair. So first couple times, I'm just sitting there, and the beautiful thing about Tony is that he cooks. And he prepares and he's got everything going. So he's got a million things going on and not just one. So he doesn't just say like, here's your paella and then that's it. Like he has it comes out in stages. It rolls out. So focaccia comes out. Another appetizer comes out. So he's rolling out. And so it's like this presentation. It's like an event when you go there. Here's the other thing that he does is that he prepares cocktails for you. So he's working on whatever he's got going on there, and he turns around and he has this like beautiful cocktail that he presents. So um, I'm not doing anything. I'm sitting there. I'm just just like a bozo on a log, just sitting there, like, is there something I can do for you? What can I do for you? He said, no, 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 I got it. I got it. So um, I just sit there and I tell him stories and we go back and forth and I just keep him while he's cooking. So I've always wanted to start something like this. I've always wanted to start a podcast, but the hard part about it is, in my opinion, is sorting up coming with a hook and coming up with an idea, coming up with the right set of is it a co-host? Or do you need a co-host? Are you going on? Are you have it on? Just do a solo podcast. It's really hard to come up with the right mixture of where everything works. Um, so I started to think about this, like, that would be number one. He has a full-time job, and I said, this is his passion, obviously. Like this is his passion. I said, how do we platform this? And then that's when the light went off. And then I approached him about it, and it's that's one of the hardest questions like that you can ask somebody is like, do you want to do a podcast? Like it's one of the like one of the ickiest questions that you can give somebody. Do you want to do a podcast with me? So I brought it up to him, and then he thought, well, let me think about it for a couple of days. He thought about it a couple of days. I got the text. He says, "Hey, I'm in." And then that was, that's where that was the easy part. That's when I think I think when you get into this, if it's like, if we get into this, but the coming up with the idea in your head of what it's going to be like, and then all these listeners are going to come, and then you're going to, oh my goodness, quit your daytime job, and then
Right?
Spotify comes to you with a check to your door for $20 million, and then everybody's happy. So that's I think what goes through your head. But then once you start, it really becomes a challenge. So I'm not, I'm preaching to the choir here. So that's really how it started, was that idea of just sort of this this gentleman has a talent that needs to be platformed. There's a passion here, and um, I think we offer a good contrast in the back and forth in terms of because I know a little bit, but I provide sort of the layman's view of the culinary world.
Sure.
Example, like like we did a show. We're doing a new show called Chops and Drops, and it's an offshoot. It's an offshoot of Bruh, which you can tune in and see this. It mixes music in, but he made a completely Mexican menu, and I mean Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Virginia, Michigan. Like, no, not a lot of Latin influence in that triangle, Rory. So I think he did it to me just so I would fumble the pronunciations of the of the. So that's I think that really drills down on the dynamic of it, where it's sort of you have somebody who's passionate about it. It's almost he's a self-proclaimed nerd about it, and then I am just sort of an amateur who tries very hard to put something together. And I think that's what makes it, that's what kicked it off. And I think that's what makes it special.
Sure. The dynamic is awesome between you guys. I mean, you can tell that you friends, good friends, and it does. You play off each other very well. The subject matter is interesting too. And then you guys do have, some humor in there, which is kind of a lot of it's understated, when you kind of
Mhm.
go back and forth. It's sometimes when he's kind of digging at you, but you don't really know he's digging at you,
Mhm.
little things like that. But libation station, I think, is one of the things that I heard
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about, like, for the drinks that he's making up that day.
Yeah.
Is that how that works? What are some of the other
Ye-
things you have in the show that people will be able to hear like that?
Libation Station is probably like one of our first. The background that I come from, um, I grew up, I mean, I'm in my 40s now. So my background I could list them out, but I have the idea of, I think his style is more of a he and that's by design is that he enjoys that portion of it, but where it's segmented off. So Libation Station, um, I'll throw a couple out there. Tiki You Barely Know Me is another one where we're bringing up I'm collecting tiki mugs. The only problem with Tiki You Barely Know Me is um, is that I thought that I could collect tiki mugs, but I was really surprised how expensive like collector tiki mugs are. So I find one for like $30 and I go, this is going to be great. Because then in the show, if you watch, I forget what episode that is, he's challenged with I have a bar behind me in the show, and he's challenged with he has to on the spot come up with a tiki drink with what's behind me and whatever I have there. So that we only did one of them because the first tiki mug I had was a girl on a surfboard. And I said, well, this is, a vintage antique. And then I started looking into tiki mugs. We're talking like $300-400 for like proper tiki mugs. So
Wow.
that's why where we're out there, Roy. And that's why we're hitting the pavement on podcasts are we need people to subscribe to our Patreon so we can bring you Tiki You Barely Know Me. That's another one. Um, let me think of we do a top five. That's another one we do. Um, there's a couple, our podcast is completely is understated because that my children watch. So I have to bleep everything that we say, and even beyond, if we're suggesting something, everything is bleeped. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think of some other ones. Top five, Tiki Barely Know Me. We go Joe Rogan, we poke him a little bit to try to get some of that, traffic, hoping he gets mad at us. So we're trying to get trying to get that traffic.
Why
Um,
not, man? A little
why not?
controversy
Yeah,
never
I
hurt
mean,
anybody.
if I can get the Joe Rogan light shining on us, I mean, hey, that's great. So, and if he's watching this, don't take it personal, Joe. Really, we're just having fun. All right, buddy. That's I can't think of them off the top of my head. Where I probably should have had them, but yeah,
Hey,
tune
that's
in and
okay. Yeah.
you'll see we're segmented off, but it's we are getting into like we're new, so we're in episode 8. We did 9 and 10. Um, that's another thing is it's really interesting how you think that you want it so formatted, and then you start to add more conversational. So that's what I think the stage that we're in now. So, but you will always get those segments. That's one thing we won't give up. Like we'll go for an hour on risotto, but you will get something like Tiki, You Barely Know Me. So
Now, are you guys the ones that I heard were, and I want to say solo podcasts because it was just the host. So even though you're not solo, I didn't hear you interviewing people on those that I was listening to when I was. So are you doing that on other ones that I haven't gotten to yet, or is that something you haven't started yet, or is that even part of the plan?
yeah, so if we 9 and 10, we actually have well, we did interview somebody on 3, and his name was Matt, and he was out of Hawaii, and he was
Okay.
phenomenal guest. Um, And we're still experimenting with that a little bit. The 9 and 10, we have um, a Trader Joe manager, so manager of a Trader Joe, uh, which she was she provided some interesting insight. Now, it wasn't a Trader Joe episode per se because we don't want her to be the representative of Trader Joe and get her fired the next day. So we
Sure.
stayed away from that. But so yeah, we are dipping our toe into some guests, but it's part of that. We're trying to feel out we're trying to feel out if three is a crowd. We have me, Tony, and then we have a producer. His name is Rob, who's not on camera. So it is three already because Rob will tune in. Um, so when we go four, like we did on this one, I think it came out great, but uh, we're experimenting with that. You know, it has to be right. So I think in the future, our goal is live. I think live would be really interesting. If we could get that set up where we could get into a kitchen with Tony live, like that would
Hmm.
probably be where we would like to be. But for now, yeah, we're exploring with it's. We're not saying no to it.
Sure.
Like I said, 9 and 10. If you tune in, we have Brenda, the lovely Brenda, is on 9 and 10, which will be
Nice.
coming out soon.
Okay.
So.
The only issue you're going to have with putting Tony in a kitchen is that he doesn't let anybody else in the kitchen
Yeah, we
because he's
just
a
have to,
chef.
yeah, we're gonna have to keep him, we have to just virtual him in and not let
Right.
nobody in there. He lets you in the kitchen. He just doesn't let you touch anything in the kitchen.
Ah,
Like,
okay.
don't come in this range here.
Right.
So he doesn't even let you clean up. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, let me at least do the dishes. And then he says, no, 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 I got the dishes. So
He's a true Italian chef, man. That's what that is.
yeah, I mean,
That's
and
what that
you
is.
gotta respect him. You know, you gotta respect
100%.
the, so I did in this last one, we did a live, like which we'll get into. It's called Chops and Drops. It is an offshoot, and it is a we put music to him cooking, and we have multi-angle. And so he was carrying something in. He had to carry something in, and then he had both of his hands full, and then he said, "Can you get the door for me?" And I said, "Ah, see, you do need me. You do need me,
I
Tony.
have a purpose here in this
I have a
podcast. That's right.
purpose here." Yeah.
That's
So
beautiful.
no, but he and I think that's most chefs. Like they like certain things cut,
Yep.
the way they're chopped, the way they're prepared. Like they have to prep everything. They know the amount. I'm just going to slow him down, Roy. And to be honest with you, I'm going to slow the guy down. So
Right. You're in the way, and then you just have to
that's
accept the
just
fact that
in the
you're in the
way.
way and that
Yeah.
you're an accessory, man. It's all good.
I think that's why he throws a drink at you too. I mean, I'll have to ask him this maybe in the next podcast, but I think he throws a drink at you to keep you busy, right?
Strategy.
Like it's a strategy. Just like you
That's
sit
right.
there, have your cocktail.
That's right.
We got this.
Then I'm
So
going to give you a little bit of an app, over here, a couple pieces of an
yeah, I'm
app
just
just to
gonna. It's
keep
just
you over
he's
there.
just yeah, he's just throwing bait out like to just keep you away I think the strategy there.
That's great. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that live episode with, him in the kitchen and you standing in the corner with a little mic, trying to, get the
Yeah,
episode
just
done.
trying to be
Beautiful.
relevant.
It's going to be
Just
great, man.
just trying to be relevant.
That's right. All right. Hey, I love that. Now you've mentioned the chops. What was it? Chops and
Yeah, yeah. So
drops?
we have this concept. It's called Chops and Drops. So Chops,
Okay.
it is a. We are not DJs. So full disclaimer, nobody is a DJ. But what we are doing is we have a format that we're going to put on YouTube. It's about an hour long, and it is primarily there is no sound. It's just a track of music that's been mixed together. So it's mostly dance, or we'll try to style the music to the cuisine. And then it is sort of a peek into him cooking. So some of the complaints that we have, not complaints, but I'll say some of the criticism we got is like, we want to see Tony cook. Can we please stop? You know, we get it. Like we get,
Oh,
top five date night. I think it was top five date night meals. Like that's fun, but we really are here to see, we want to learn something. Like we're not just looking for, some of the goofy stuff. So that's when we thought this is an interesting format that we will get, Tony cooking to a track of music, and then just what we do is then it's almost like if you're a fly on the wall to what you would experience at his house. We're going to do one up here. I think the next one we're going to do is pizzas. Um, so that's that concept. So we're trying to, I guess the best way to describe it is sort of not be in one pocket of one format, and we're trying to just go to try to reach to different audiences.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so that's kind of the idea there. So that's, yeah, that's Chops and Drops. It's only on YouTube. And that is, there's one episode, there's like a pilot up there that you can watch, and it's me, uh, it's me making a ribeye. But the episode one, the real one, that one is about to come out, I think, in a week or so. And then you get to see Tony in action. So then I think that's really where the big guns come out. You'll start to see his talent.
Nice. So the chops and drops now is that's a subset of the Bruh Foodcast podcast. It's one of your regular episodes, it just has a subtitle name. You're not starting a new podcast called Chops and Drops, right?
No, no, it would just
Okay.
be yeah. So if we're talking about the streams, you wouldn't get this on your feed. This would not be on a Spotify feed or an Apple feed. This was only a YouTube.
Okay.
This would be only a YouTube episode.
Got it. Okay.
So
So
yeah,
all the other
it's
episodes
just
are both, but this one is a specific
all
YouTube special type thing.
yeah, all the episodes of Buzz. That's another interesting thing. I mean, if we're going to get into the weeds about it, I mean, it's really interesting about what we mentioned. I don't know if we mentioned yet. I know we mentioned in the pre-review. I have a marketing business, and a lot of what we do with promoting the podcast we use in the marketing business. So I lost track
You
where
know,
I
it's
get
okay.
distracted by
You
getting
got
back on track.
background noise
I had a
going.
child that was throwing me off there, but uh, oh, we were talking about the streams of oh yeah, what it's interesting because when we started out, we are like, well, we have to try. Our goal was YouTube monetization, like getting past that monetization
Sure.
threshold. So everything was heavy YouTube, and we're doing decent on YouTube. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to find strategy, and we're thinking about, well, what is the percentage of people that listen to podcasts on YouTube? What is the percentage of people that listen to just when they're walking? Um, so as new podcasters, we're really trying to be mindful of that when we're talking about something that's visual, that um, we're making sure that somebody who's not seeing what we're doing is able to. That's just because we're amateurs. But I bet if you were listening, when we're getting better at it, I promise. But I bet if you were listening to us, um, you would probably say, "Man, I wish these guys would describe more about what they're seeing, because
What's
we
going
are
on? Yeah.
we're really thinking about YouTube and trying to promote YouTube, but I think that's a natural thing that we're just sort of feeling our way through it as we're going, and just the idea of just let's just get some decent content out and then let the
Sure.
numbers tell us where to go. So
Interesting.
that's the idea on that. We're trying to push into different formats. We don't want to get um, boxed into sort of one format. We want to just kind of reach into different. Um, where I think Tony's 40 some, I'm 44. So it's not like, our demo is not really, 20 to 30, like we're making some of we got to really watch our references that we're making. Like, so we're trying to like find what's trending and then maybe pushing in that direction. So
Sure.
that's the idea behind that.
Yeah, I mean, you're a marketing guy, so I know you understand all that stuff and how that works, and looking at your avatar and your perfect client and everything else. As you move forward, I mean, I would imagine this probably shifts more into a video podcast, especially if you're going to be doing more cooking and that kind of thing. Nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, wherever the viewers are, that's where you go. You
Yeah, it
know?
is it's interesting when you're doing a food podcast. There's so many different avenues that you can go in, but um, the question we have is can you, and I know it can be done, but how do you describe, excuse me, how do you describe the food and still give people that hunger feeling in their belly?
Hmm.
And that was also the idea of Chops and Drops because he did a fundito. I think it's called a fundito. I'm still working on that, Rory, but
Hmm.
it's like a queso fundito, I think it was what he called it. So it's a mixture of cheese and meat. And if we were to describe that on an audio podcast, I don't think it would have the same effect as is when you see him drop it on a hot cast iron.
Oh
It's still
yeah.
in there. It drops. He's stirring it. He does sort of the sprinkle of the sea salt on there. Then he scoops into a warm tortilla. Then like, so I would think that. us being in the food space, that we would probably trend more towards visual, which makes it much harder, much more expensive, much more, like I would love if we could just turn microphones on and just say, and like just do an all audio. I think that would be a lot easier in terms of production, but for us, I think it would hurt us
Yeah.
if we were only audio,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, there are other platforms like Spotify, for instance, where you can actually load the video, and have it seen
Hmm.
there. And so you can get some cheap or non-cost outlets with video too. When you really start to ramp it up and you guys are out there and you're banking, and you got monetization happening, then yeah, it becomes a little more costly because you want to refine your process and everything
Yeah.
else. But I mean, honestly, starting off, I think you're onto something really cool. Cooking shows, they're huge. I mean, and especially if it's someone who's doing some good cooking,
Hmm.
or cooking that like the average person could do. I mean, if I'm
Yeah.
watching Tony and I know I could go buy those ingredients and try and put it together in my kitchen, then I'm much more connected to that, and I'm going to pay a lot more attention to what he's doing because I want to up my game, and it's possible. Now, if I'm watching what's his name, Gordon Ramsay or something, one of those guys, who has all these different things he's preparing that I'm never going to cook. I
Yeah.
mean, cooked whatever fillet of this and that. It's interesting, but I don't connect with it. You know what I mean? I mean, a guy like that cooking that kind of food, I'm going to connect with and go, man, maybe I can make that for my wife on date night.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're trying, and we'll and that's what gets into sort of the I'm trying to think about your listeners here, and sort of what giving them what we're learning, and that I know that we're going to cover that, but while we're on the point, um it's really interesting because we had a moment where we're coming up with, I mean, we're coming up with these top five date nights. Also have playlists that you could, like, we've put playlists up on Spotify, just sort of like, for your second date playlist is one that you can find on Spotify. So if you're not on a first date, but if you're on a second date, this is what you play. Not Your Mama's Taco Tuesday is another playlist that you can download. So we really get into, Tony can go really deep into the weeds in terms of cocktails and food and everything like that. But an interesting, and maybe this is the best piece of advice that I could give as somebody with basically no listeners and who's 8 episodes in. So if you're looking for advice from that guy, get your pens out. Uh, but we had an interesting moment where um, we were at an event. I think it was at Easter. I think we were here for Easter, an Easter egg hunt, and it's an interesting moment. All podcasters, I think, will probably go with this. So that when everybody in your family finds out that you have a podcast, like, this is an interesting moment, right? So I wasn't ready to come out with that yet, but then somehow it leaked. Like, there's 12 people in the kitchen, and somehow it leaks. And so everybody's looking, just like, you have a podcast, you have a podcast, you have a podcast, you have a podcast, and they're just like, all of this. Yeah, we have a podcast, and then you're replaying every silly thing that you said, and like, did I bleep that word? Did I bleep that word? Please don't, you know. So then the interesting part about this is um, somebody said, they go, "What do you guys do?" And he says, "Well, we answer questions." So um, I'm sorry for that background noise, everybody. Let's just apologize for that. I'm trying to work through that. But anyway,
Don't worry about it, man.
so they said, okay, so how do I not make a chicken breast dry? So that a light bulb hit me there, because when you come into this, you think, how many times that's been covered? That's a simple Google. You Google that, ChatGPT that. You could look that. There's probably a million YouTube videos on that. But that's an interesting thing about the audience, is sort of, I think assuming that your audience has heard something, or assuming that your audience knows something, I don't know if I would do that. I would think I would just sort of listen to the audience and see what they're telling you, and not. We're thinking that we need to be very complicated and come with complex, and how can we one up Gordon Ramsay, and how can we one up every cooking show that you see on the internet? But when it comes down to it, people just want to get their questions answered about basic cooking, and well, they want to hear it from us. So that would be, you were kind of hinting, or asking me about that in terms of advice, and I hope I didn't mess up your format there, but I hope I didn't throw off your format there. But that was the one thing, was just sort of like, take the advice that you're getting. Don't think that you know what people want to listen to. Like, no, I know what I want to listen to. And I'll tell the story about next story about that is that my mom, she listened to it and she said, I listened to your podcast. Uh, and I have a suggestion. And I said, okay, what's that? Because hey, great job, you put a podcast out, son. Good job, pat on the back. That'll work for me.
Right.
That'll work for me. She
This is
goes,
mom, though.
you guys are laughing too much. This is mom, yeah. You're laughing too much. You need to stop laughing so much. I don't understand what you're laughing about. Like, I don't understand I don't understand what you're laughing about. So I'm thinking like, hey, in the inner me is like, I got this, mom. All right, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm the podcaster here. But then, when you have to enter that in because it is, even though it's your mom, it is a listener, and there is probably a segment, you don't want to cut out any segments. So that's my so far in 8, 9 episodes in, that's what I've learned is like, don't assume what you know that your audience wants to hear. Like, listen to them and what they want to hear. And I think and do it in your own way. Like, turn that question into your own way. And I think that you're going to break into different segments and different verticals and different groups and demos. And now again, there's no data behind this, Rory. This is just a hunch, but that's my gut feeling at this point.
And again, you can tell you're a marketing guy because you're talking about data, right? It's
Yeah, it's
uh,
just you have to look at, you're right. You have to look at what you have to take what people are saying, and then you have to look at your analytics, you have to look at your metrics. Like, that's really important. What Sometimes it's impossible to figure out. Like, there, I'm no I still don't know why a short about Frankie a short about Frankie Valley gets 1,500 views, but then when I think one is going to hit, it gets 10 views. So those are the mysteries that I don't know if anybody knows. It's just sort of like what gets pushed, but um yeah, so, and that's a good one too. I don't know if you listened to that one episode. That's when I can't curse on here, but that's when Frankie Valley. It was a great Frankie
oh,
Valley story that Tony tells, where that he comes in late night in Kalamazoo, and
mhm.
I'm not going to spoil it, but
Yeah,
it's a great Frankie Valley story.
yeah. The title of the episode I think is I met Frankie Valley. Like, what is it?
Yeah,
Hey, mom,
yeah,
mom. Yeah,
mom, I met Frankie Valley. Yeah,
right.
so
Yeah,
it
I
was
did hear
that
that
was
one.
the title of that. So it was like,
That was excellent.
um, it's a great story. So I don't want to spoil it, but
No, don't.
tune in and you can hear that
Exactly.
story.
Tune
Yeah.
into the podcast. You'll hear the
Tune in the
story.
podcast, right?
You know it's there now. I gotta be honest with you and give you some kudos on that because you're brand new in the business. You're just starting. You're feeling your way through it. That's awesome. But that is a gigantic thing for people to learn. It's
Mhm.
huge for people to learn that you can't assume what your audience is thinking, what they're
Mhm.
feeling, what they're wanting. You guess, you give it your best guess, you put it out there, and then you see, and then you check, and then you verify. And you look at your data, you look at your numbers, you look at the stuff that comes in, but you talk to the people. And that's
Yeah.
where a lot of your interaction comes in. So if somebody says, "Hey, how do I make a chicken breast not be dry?" Right? Dude, there's nothing wrong with talking about that right now, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody asked you the question, you know what? Hey, a lot of other people have that question, even if they're not asking it. And that's kind of how I've always treated engagement. I've got 3 different podcasts right now. I've had, I think, 7 altogether over time that have, come, gone, served the purpose, sold one. But I mean, there's always feedback that helps you grow, helps you, develop. And I also want to applaud you on the fact that you didn't come into this and say, "This is how I'm doing it." Period. My blinders are on. I know marketing, so I know what I'm doing. You're feeling it out, and you're like, "All right, what's working?
Yeah.
What's not? What feels good? Let's go with this." Because there's no way to quantify the data or the data of how something feels,
Yeah.
and people don't understand that
Yeah.
have just gotten into it that podcasting is about you, the host. It's about your story. It's about how people feel when they listen to you. And it has very little to do with data, believe it or not. It's all about
Yeah.
your heart, man. And folks don't get that. So if you feel it, go with it. And that's huge in podcasting, especially at the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think anybody has the magic formula. I think you just have to, this sounds cliche, but you really just try to go with your gut of what you want to talk about. Don't look at a podcast and then say, well, I want to be like, I'm going to do exactly that with that because it just won't work. Like it
Right.
just,
It's not
you
you.
have to just, you have to put it out there, be ready to tell your family. And, the, yeah, so
I
yeah, I
love it.
appreciate that, Roy. Thank you. So again,
Not at all.
we're not, Spotify hasn't showed up yet. So,
They're not there
we're
with a
waiting for
check.
that.
That's
We're
right.
waiting for that check.
If the
Um,
doorbell rings, man, feel free. We'll hit pause. You go ahead and grab that package.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Roy, if they deliver that $20 million check, I can't promise you that. I can't promise you I'll be back on this screen if they hand me a $20 million check. I know, don't take that personal, my man.
Not at all,
Don't
man.
take that personal, my man. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna buy a boat. I'm heading on down there to Indiana, and me and you're gonna have boat drinks, my friend. So
Sounds good.
that's
All
what
right.
we're gonna do.
Libation Station right there in
We're gonna
Indiana.
have our own little libation station. Is what we're gonna do.
You got it. Oh, I love it. All right. I love everything you're sharing. I love the journey that you're on, man. And I'm looking forward to following it, along with you. I think you guys are onto something pretty cool here. And you're engaging and you're fun and you're helping folks. So it's going to be neat watching the evolution of your cooking show as it goes. In the interest of time, let me get my corny question in here for
Go
you.
for it.
It's kind of like my Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. I got to get it in every episode, type of
That's
deal.
fine. Go for it. Shoot.
But all right, so in terms of your podcasting journey that you've been on so far, what is it about doing this, your podcast, and doing it the way you do it, that you love the most? And what is it about doing all the stuff that you just really and truly hate the most?
All right. So the first one is an easy one. Uh, the Again, this may sound corny and cliche, but the idea of from putting something on from pen to paper, like writing a note, whether it's in your phone or, like if you're thinking about a topic that you're going to cover, or if when you get an idea on a notebook, or if you're writing something down and it's just like, I'm not going to say I'm like Bob Dylan writing on a napkin. I'm not going to make it that romantic because that doesn't happen. It's probably on an iPhone or something. I'm in a coffee shop and I'm having a cup of coffee and I write it down and no. It's sort of writing something down, getting it to publish and then pushing it out and then just seeing how, like, I guess getting from start to finish, from idea to publish to where people are, and then even on the smallest level, when somebody says, like, I can remember when I came up with Libation Station, and just for you saying, "Hey, I listened to Libation Station," from that A to B, that's the best part of it to me. The part that I hate the most about it is that we record at night, and we I mean, it's we this is we are it's a food podcast. So we have a few cocktails on the podcast. And if you're listening, I would suggest listening. If I know if you don't have an hour, listen to the first hour, because usually the second half hour things start to go a little loose. The beeps go up. Or I don't look at the metrics of that, but the beeps start going up. So that is it goes late, and then you hear, like, if it's 10 and you still hear the kids upstairs, and that starts, like, so we do this out of our homes. Like, we're not in any place to have this in a studio. So we're all in our basements basically. So if you hear that, then you're looking at the clock, but you don't want to rush it. And you got a good thing going, but then you're on a clock. That's probably the time crunch is what I hate the most about it, is because it presses it. We did one episode, I don't know which one it was, but this is before we knew how much was too much, and we did 4 or 5 segments, and we were an hour and a half in, and we were only like in the second segment. Then we ended up rushing it because you're starting to get Tony's wife's texting and my wife's texting, like, are you guys done? Because there's a family up here, there's a there's
Right.
children up here. So that's probably the hardest part about it, is sort of like the time crunch that you have in trying to get this in, and trying to just, because it's not like, uh it's hard at 44 with 2 kids to say, will you keep it down? Daddy's doing his podcast. Like, I don't
Right.
want that, I don't want that to, I don't want to tell them, that therapist, when they're 17, like, well, my dad was doing a podcast when
Right.
I was, so
He wasn't there for me.
that's the
Yeah.
hardest part about it. Is everything
Exactly.
else is fun though. Everything else is, if it doesn't go anywhere and we're done tomorrow, uh, you have fun doing it. And I think that's another key. It's just like, don't stress about it. Like, it's just, have fun with it. If you're stressed about it, it's not going to go anywhere. I personally don't think like it has to be natural. So
Nice. Nice. I love it. I mean, even the segment about what you hated was still just authentic and,
yeah,
natural and
I
all
mean,
of
that's
that.
the
So,
honest, it's the truth. If I have
yeah, I
the
love
other
it.
interesting thing, Rory, was like, then we can close out here. The other interesting thing, and I was telling somebody about it was, I think like when we hit 200 subscribers on YouTube, when we first started, not 200, I know that's not that much, but, um, when we first started about it, you're sitting down and you think that you're just talking to Tony and you're talking to Rob. So it's just a Zoom call. So you're there and you're goofing off and saying whatever and being a buzz and everything like. But then when you sit down and you know that there's 200 people subscribing, the nerves start to kick in. Like you really feel like that you're sitting down in front of a room of 200 people. So like if you visualize 200 people, it's not millions, but it is 200 people. I'm not going to be able to go to that room without any sort of nerves if I have to talk in front of them. So that was another interesting that was sort of an interesting change of just what we were having fun. And then one morning or one night we sat down and I said, okay, we're up to 200. I was like, so there's actually 200 people that are going to sit down and watch this, or at least get a notification they're going to watch this. And that gave me a little bit of butterflies. That was another sort of interesting moment in my podcasting career, if that's what you want to call it. Was that so? Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
I mean, hey, 200 subscribers is great. So you just started. That's fantastic. I
yeah.
mean,
I'm
10
proud of
subscribers
us.
is great. Okay, to,
Yeah,
to get
I
going.
mean, yeah, I mean it's 200 people I paid here in Grand Rapids I paid them $1 each to subscribe, but they're
Sure.
subscribers, Rory.
I mean, hey, whatever it takes.
Right, right.
Nobody wants to be the first person through the wall, right? So it's all good. Get a fake subscriber if you have to. No, I love that.
Exactly. Right.
That's hilarious. Just to throw fuel on the fire there, it isn't just your 200 subscribers either. I mean, that's only people who have actually hit the subscribe button. I mean,
Yeah,
I look at
no.
stuff on YouTube all the time that I'm not subscribed to, but I check out regularly. And I mean, that happens all the time. When you look at your total views and they're up in the thousands and thousands, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
no, you're making me a nervous mess, Rory. No, I mean that's a good problem, but
it's a great problem to have, brother. It's
yeah,
right
we
where you want
don't
to
want
be.
pre-drinking. That's the other tip. Do not pre-drink on your podcast. I'll give you that tip.
There you
We
go.
our producer was pre-drinking on the last episode, and we have to. That's a tip. Don't
That's the
pre-drink.
tip. That's your advice for today. That's what we're going to
That's
go
it.
with. Don't
Don't pre-drink in
pre-drink.
life. Don't
Start
pre-drink anything. Yeah, right.
right. Start when you start the podcast. That way, when it's starting to hit you, you're coming off the air and everything works out. So you got to time that right. That's awesome. All right, you've given some great advice, and that was another awesome tip. I love it, Michael. This is awesome, and I'm really looking forward to following the podcast and seeing where you guys go with it. If anything I can ever do to help you out, feel free to reach out. I've been doing this for a minute. I'd love to help you guys. I think you're onto a great thing, and I know we've got a lot of listeners who are going to go check this out when we're done. So we'll
So
have the links in the show
thank you,
notes and
Rory. I
a little
would
bit.
love to. I'd love a follow-up. Like I'd love for us to, if we could get in and get a follow-up, that would be wonderful, so that we can, see in a year or something like that. But we stay
Of
in
course,
touch. I got one plug to make though, Rory. If I
please do.
if you
Absolutely.
give me the stage, I have one plug. So another thing that we're doing is we have a hot sauce, and I don't know if you picked this up
I did. Yep. Go
on
for
the
it.
we have a hot sauce. It is we're not in pre-order yet, so we are in labeling is where we're at. So it is called Michigan Red. So it is a Michigan's first official hot sauce. So I don't think Michigan has a hot sauce. I know that North Carolina has a sauce. I know that Tennessee has a sauce. You have your Kansas City sauce, you have your Carolina sauce. Well, Michigan now has a sauce. So that is called Michigan Red. And it is from Tony's Kitchen. So it is 80% sourced in Michigan. So 80% of the ingredients are sourced in Michigan. And that is going to be in pre-order. So if you tune in, subscribe, pre-order is going to be coming on that. So I just wanted to make that plug. So I appreciate you letting me get in. But
Perfect.
Bra Podcast and Michigan Red is the name of it. So that'll be coming hopefully to a mire near you. So
That's awesome.
there's a little
Meyer.
Midwestern, yeah, a little Midwestern reference
All
for our
right. Going to Meyer.
Michiganders.
I love it, man. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
All right. Michigan Red is what we're talking about.
Michigan Red.
All right. And folks, I don't know when you're going to be listening to this podcast because we all know podcasts are evergreen. So when that link comes out, make sure no matter when it is, get it to me. I'll add it to the show notes so that people who are listening to back episodes or anything like that will always be able to go click on that when they hear your episode. All right. We'll make sure that
Absolutely.
we're doing what we can to help market it also. Absolutely fantastic, man. And good luck with the hot sauce.
Thank
That's
you
great.
again, Rory. I thank you enough, buddy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Been a pleasure, brother. Folks, this has been an awesome episode of an up and coming podcast that you guys all need to take a look at. Go check it out, look them up. This is the podcast that's about podcasters, it's for podcasters, it's done by podcasters. Folks, this is the place where the rising tide truly raises all ships. So keep sailing.